appreciate your comment, the senator for Alabama. That's exactly how I'd like to be recognized. So thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, I rise today to appeal to my colleagues to support the renewal of vital funding for historically black colleges and universities and all minority-serving institutions. I have risen in this body on more than one occasion to talk about the importance of HBCUs and minority-serving institutions. Alabama is home to 14 HBCUs, more than any state in the country. They are part of the fabric of our economy in Alabama, part of the fabric of our society. They are the pride of their communities, and they're the pride of those folks who went there and had relatives to go there, and even those individuals who are not alums or relatives of alums. Our HBCUs are a source of enduring pride in our state and across this country. They serve an incredibly important function. They educate those from underserved communities more than any college or university. And it is important that we continue to fund them because their challenges with funding are great. They do not have the endowments that other colleges and universities have. They don't have the source of funding, and it's only through our efforts in Congress and across the country that we can continue the great work of these HBCUs. So recently, the House has passed what is known as the Futures Act, which is H.R. 2486. My colleague, Senator Scott, and I have a similar bill that has been introduced in the Senate because at the end of September, all funding for HBCUs is set to end. Our act would extend that. We need to make sure that we fund all of our HBCUs, that they are not left in the lurch and not left with any uncertainty about their future funding, because I truly believe that this is such a bipartisan effort that we can get this across the finish line. I have urged Senator McConnell to put this on the floor because it is quite urgent. So, Mr. President, as if in legislative session, I ask unanimous consent to the Senate that the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of H.R. 2486, which is at the desk, that the bill be considered read a third time and passed, and the motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there objection?
Mr. President.
The senator for Tennessee.
Reserving the right to object, the senator from Alabama is a valued member of the Education Committee. Ensuring that historically black colleges and universities have continued funding is something we all want to do. However, instead of a short-term patch, I favor a long-term solution, and I'm ready to do this along with a few other bipartisan higher education proposals that also have bipartisan support. Here's what such a package could include: a $255 million permanent mandatory funding for historically black college, reduce the number of questions on the FAFSA that 20 million families fill out every year for their federal aid, as Senator Bennett and Senator Jones have proposed. I would like to see the Senate pass again the legislation Senator Murray and I persuaded the Senate to pass that reduces 22 questions on the FAFSA. Schatz, Lee, and Durbin have proposed Pell Grants for prisoners. There's a proposal by Senator Portman and Kane and many other bipartisan senators on short-term Pell Grants for job training. We could expand Pell Grant eligibility. We could increase the maximum Pell Grant award. These are all things we should be able to agree on, including the historically black colleges. I've been talking with Senator Murray now for several years about reauthorizing Higher Education Act. I intend to discuss this all with her and with our committee members next week. We have the time to do it because while the language expires at the end of this month, the money doesn't for several more months. So in the meantime, I would hope that we could work together, as we often do in our committee, to pass a short-term, a smaller package of higher education proposals, including a longer-term proposal for historically black colleges, while we continue to work on the reauthorization of the Higher Education Act. I object.
Objection is heard. The senator for Washington.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, What we're seeing today really disappoints me. We have today a straightforward opportunity to prevent a critical part of our higher education system, HBCUs, tribal colleges, and other minority-serving institutions from having to deal with a lapse in funding. And we should take it. This is bipartisan legislation. It has passed the House. There is no reason at all to delay it a minute longer here in the Senate. So I want to thank the senator from Alabama for his leadership on this, and I express my personal strong support for the Future Act, which will give us then time to work out a permanent fix for funding HBCUs and tribal colleges and minority-serving institutions through a comprehensive HEA reauthorization, which is what I've been clear is necessary. I appreciate what the senator from Tennessee said about moving forward with higher education reauthorization. I'm hopeful we can continue to work on reaching a compromise as we have done on several other pieces of legislation. As I've said before, I believe any reauthorization of the Higher Education Act needs to have real answers to the challenges students are facing today on affordability and access and accountability and campus safety. I truly believe we have an opportunity to get a comprehensive bill done that helps solve the challenges for our students. So I hope the senator from Tennessee and our colleagues on the HELP committee continue to focus on our efforts there. Meanwhile, I believe we should listen to the senator from Alabama. We should pass the Bipartisan Future Act instead of playing politics with the valuable and under-resourced institutions. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.